Welcome to the very first class that we'll be having, and then it's just going to be as simple as it can be, right? So, what we'll just be talking about today is first and first is what Forex is about. You know, how did the idea of Forex trading even come to play, and everything. So, what does Forex means, right? And all. So, Forex just means foreign exchange, so which means like we are in Nigeria and then we have other countries around us that are foreign nations, and then there is an exchange of currency always going on between everybody one on one. So you can have Nigeria as well as United States as well as Russia as well as United Kingdom, and so on and so forth. But the main thing is what do we really do when it comes to trading, right? It means just the word trade. You understand? Trade is just like we have a particular thing and we want to buy something, right? We have to drop our money to get that particular thing. So if you want to buy a mouse now, we need naira to buy the mouse, right? So that's a trade that we are actually taking place. But on the forex market, what we are just going to be doing is we'll be speculating moves based off of certain things that I will be sharing on as time goes on. So, but the very first thing is forex just mean the exchange of currencies. Now, then forex trading now comes in the fact that you want to speculate the moves that is really happening in the whole forex market. You understand? So you want to be able to tell when you want to buy or when you want to sell a particular currency with time and so on and so forth. But one of the major things that actually comes in play is the fact that we have a whole lot of things just in the aspect of trading that we need to pay attention to. So first thing is understanding that the market moves in pips, right? So the way we move in meters, we move from one place to another in meters. The market also does move in pips. So if you move in pips, it means if you move one step, two step, three step, you are measuring that meter that you're moving. But if the market move one step, two step, three step, either to the upside or to the downside, it also means the market has actually moved in pips. So that's the very first terminology you need to know. And then the other thing we'll also be talking about today is how do we really say that we've established a particular trading hedge in the market, right? Because one thing about this trading is that it's not just for me to show you my strategy and you make profit and then you go, It's for you to be able to look at what I've taught you and then be able to refine it to your own, taste. See something that can easily communicate with you. You understand? So you're not just coming into the market and you're like, okay, I want to buy or sell at this point in time at all. But you just want to have your own edge, what you see that will make you buy at this particular point in time. So, and you cannot do that if you don't have the idea of something we call back testing. Okay, so every data that we see on the charts actually go back in time, and then the forex market is based on repetition. I don't know if you've heard of that before. It's based on repetition. So everything you are doing, every decision you make, every buy or sell has happened somewhere before. Do you understand? And then you just have to be able to gather those data, gather every information that you can get off of this market, and then be able to use them for your own good by just implementing something in the chart. So, first thing is we've understood that the market is based on repetition. We also understand that the market is, it moves in pips. Now, one thing we want to look at is what are the major tools that we need pretty much to be able to just navigate our way around distance, right? The very first tool we need to know is trading view. So we have trading view right here that is currently in front of us, and then every tool in trading view have their purpose, right? But for the case of for the sake of this training, we will just focus on what really matters. You understand? There's a lot of noise in trading view. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of numbers. Just look at this number now. All these things are just they are just numbers, right? But if you have the idea of what it does mean, it's a good thing. But we want to focus majorly on what's really matters. You understand? So first thing first is on the right side or the left side here, we have all the tools and where you see the sections, right? The very first thing here is just showing your email if you sign in trading view, and then you can see that every other thing here just shows the tools. So the very first one we're looking at now is the very first tool that shows the type of cursor you want to use. So you can see cross, dots, arrow, demonstration, magic, blah 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 blah. But we don't need that, we just need cursor. So I'm just going to highlight that as I'm going to make it a favorite. So what I'm doing now, you also have to replicate it on your own. Yes, after this first. So now we have that. Then the next one we want to look at is the lines. Okay, so these lines are basically what we use to analyze the market. The market is built off of a lot of things, but one thing is for you to be able to predict its move, you need to have an idea of the technical part of it. You understand? So for you to be able to use, for you to be able to analyze technically, you need these tools. So now we have trend line, which is the very first one you have to make it a favorite. Then this info line, you don't need it. The next line you need is the horizontal ray. You also need the horizontal line. Okay. Then the next line you also might need you might need the parallel channel based on the other things, but you don't need any other thing here. And then the next one we have here is the Fibonacci, right? This Fibonacci just shows a lot of information, and then like I said, we'll be streamlining our focus on what we know matters. Okay. Now you can imagine you have Fibonacci retracement, which is the only one that matters on this for this particular training. But there are also other fibs. You can imagine something like fib wedge now, and then all you see is just price drawing out different lines and stuff. But you don't need all that. You understand? You don't need all that. But the main thing you need is what we're just focusing on. So far so good. We've seen that we only need the yeah. Sunday. Okay. So we've seen that we only need the very first tool, which is the cursor tool, right? The next one we have the lines, and then in the lines we need the trend lines. We don't need the info line, and then also we have.
Is what your favorite? That's
yes, that will just maintain this level here. So most of them will just keep staying here. So there's also an icon that shows the hiding of those tools, right? So based on that now, I'm sure we can easily, if we are talking about trading view, we can understand what this is, and we can also understand what that is. So then the next part is this particular part, right? So this is where we have our watch list, okay, which is the pairs that we are watching out for. That's where we save them to, and then we can see some of their indexes, some of their more details about them. Yeah, look at it, market open. If the market is closed, it will show the market closed. You understand? So this is the current price of the market, which is like what is currently fluctuating. It's never stable based on the currency. So now the pips now, the difference between the pips and the candlestick is the pips is the movement, right? The candlestick is just printing what that movement is. So if you say that we have a very beautiful setup now, and we have price moving, let's just take the trade we took into the right on let's say the USD. So we took in a buy all the way from this particular point. Now if I'm to take a buy from a point, I come to projection. This is that I take on the long position, right? Then I click on where I want to take my entry. This is that this particular thing comes up. So now this particular thing now tells me where I want to put something which is called my take profit, and then also tells me where I want to put my stop loss, also tells me my risks to reward. So these are terminologies that you need to define and know. So one thing is this particular position or projection shows you your stop loss return, your take profit return, your risks to reward, which is hard out. Okay, so now this is basically how every setup is supposed to look like. Before you take a trade, before you click on that buy or sell button, you're supposed to have this particular thing on your trading view chart. So if you don't have this particular thing, how then do we know that you took this trade based on an analysis? Where is your entry? You could just come up with a screenshot of your entry on your empty file, whereas you've not done a proper analysis on trading view. You understand? So now if you look at it carefully now, we see that one thing we have here shows that when we took our entry upon this particular candlestick, right? right? This candlestick here, which is something I'm going to go deep into later. Then we can now take our measure 2, and then from this particular point at which we entered, right? Now, pay attention to the fact that we are currently on the 15 minutes time frame, right? Good. So now, that tells you that each candlestick lasted for 15 minutes.
Yes.
So the first 15 minutes upon our entry for a buy, we only add 16 pips in our direction. Just look at that figure. Can you see that figure there? Can you see that figure that's fluctuating? So now 173. Now, when you're actually trading gold, you need to convert it back to pence. You understand? If it's in 1,000, you convert it to 100. Do you get the idea now? So if you have it moving from here now, so after we entered, after 2 candlesticks, 15 minutes, 1, right? 15 minutes, the second 15 minutes. Now see the second 15 minutes candle. Can you see? The second 15 minutes gave us what? What do you see there? 1,685, right?
Yes.
Now if you convert it to 100, what does that give us? 168.5. So that means we've made 168 pips in profit. Do you understand? So now, but what does that convert to in money? If it is 168 pips on the charts here, if you enter the market with 0.01 lot, it means you've just made probably $18 or $17.
So that's how you calculate risk to reward.
No, that's not to calculate risk to reward. That's just converting your pips to the money. Using lots. Do you understand? Converting your pips to the money using lots. So if you have 170 pips in your favor and you entered the trade with 0.01 lot size, that tells you that what? You've actually made $17 profit. What if you now enter the trade with using the fact they are converting tens to 100 and all those things like that? I don't want to really bombard you with a lot of information, right? But MT5 and MT4 can really do those calculations for you. But what you want to do is you want to have the knowledge about it, right? So which is what brings us to, are there higher lot sizes that can give you more profit? Yes. So if you enter this trade now with a 0.1 lot,
like if you entered it before it did that movement.
Yes, of course, that's the main thing. That's why this entry point is here. Do you understand? So this is your entry point. So you saw this candlestick push to the upside, it gave you a bullish engulfing. We'll talk about all of that later. Then you took your entry there and then it pushed to the upside, and then in your favor, right? In your favor. Now then, the fact that I pushed to the upside shows that you've actually done what? You've actually made a very good decision by buying at that point in time. So you're in profit, and then it's moving based on, like we said, if you move from one place to another, meters, but this is pips. So now we have been moving from here to this point, giving us 1,712 points. But on the MT5 or MT4, which is where you see your profits are all, where you execute as well, if you enter here with 0.1 lot, it means you'll be making $170, right? $170 at this particular point, right? But now let's come back to this particular thing. The difference between the red and this green is your entry point. That line, that hash line. You understand? This hash line here, that's your entry point. Okay. So immediately you put this thing on the chart, make sure you are also going to your MT5 to do what? To execute. You understand? So immediately you put it here for a buy, that means you've made your decision to buy. Then what next? You want to go to MT5, execute it on that same price. You understand? Then sometimes it might not be accurate, so it's not necessary it is 100% accurate, right? So then the next thing you want to see is price moving in your direction. But you also want to first of all be aware of how much you are potentially risking. You understand? Yeah. Which is where this particular red box comes in. You see that? So this red box shows you what, if price ever comes into this red box while you're trading, it means you're going to be running a loss. If it enters this green box, it means you're going to be running a profit. So now, looking down to the bottom of this red box, you see stop at 9.53, 0.28%. Then you see 953, right? So then what you just have to focus on is this 953 converted to pence. That tells you that you will be risking probably $95 if
it's 0.1.
you are with 0.1. But if you are with 0.01, okay, can I come back now? This particular thing is here. You see this 953 3.
Okay. That's the end of the red box.
Yes, the end of the red box. Now convert it to tens. That's 95 pips.
Nice.
So if you
that's the pips from this place
to this place, yeah, the distance from this place to this place, right? So if you now go into your MT4 and execute, it means if you put your stop loss at this exact figure, which is 3,357.58.95 or whatever, you are potentially risking $9.5 if you enter with 0.01, I mean. But if you enter with 0.1, it means you're risking 95. If you enter with 1, it means you're risking $953. If it goes in for you, same thing, right? Now look at it. We have 1,961 points according to gold. But if you convert it to pips, which is we are converting to hundreds now, we have 196 pips. Do you understand? So if we have 196 pips there, it means if it comes to our favor and it will take profit, if we entered with 0.01 lot, we will make $19, 19.6.
I think I've lost something. So basically, what you said is okay. So they can see from the screen record.
Yeah. No, I think you can just
Yeah. So basically, what you said is at this point of entry, right? If you made a decision to buy, right? You made a decision to buy, and it went here. We are only saying it went here because this is where that peak ended. So that's why we are able to. We are just trying to explain to us. Okay, it ended here, right? And the amount of pips is 1,961.
Okay. Now this 961 is at this end, not this point.
Is that where
the end is?
Okay, that means he got there, now retraced. Okay.
So you can see that it tapped in there.
All right.
We'll still come back to those candlesticks.
Okay.
That's the weeks. It just tapped in there.
All right.
To tell you why your when I took this trade, my strategy is, you understand? My strategy tells me take 1:2. We'll come back to building your strategy. You understand? Whereas whatever I am doing on the chart, if I'm risking $100, I'm targeting to make $200. So whatever profit you see that I post, it means I'm actually risking half of that particular profit. So if we now have, which is going to bring us back to risk to reward, right? So you can see that immediately it tapped in there. What happened? It reversed.
Yeah.
Now it reversed. Has it passed that point since that time? No.
Okay, so basically what I'm trying to understand is I think I want to be very clear. So what I'm trying to say is at this particular point where we used what tool do we use?
The measure tool.
The measure tool. At this particular point where we use the measure tool, we want to see how many pips this thing
that particular.
So if at all that trade went higher than that, the number of pips will be different. It means we will still be showing the highest point at which that particular trade went. So all through these points, but it doesn't mean that from this point nobody has made entry so far.
I mean,
people could have made entry after that. Okay.
Some people might even be on the sale right now.
Yes.
Some people, based on this particular candlestick, some people entries are here, waiting for price to just drop down. Some people took a buy here. Some people knew that it would buy from here, and then they potentially did not take the trade. They want to see it reverse out, then they will take a trade again. You understand? So all these things are just people's analysis at all. But where you want to come in is my own strategy, which is what I'm showing now, is showing that my trade, once it is New York session, we'll come back to sessions at all, is 1:2 on gold. What do I want to see? I want to see my technicals, my fundamentals, and everything in place. You understand? And then I want to see this candlestick form in a particular way. So you could just ask, why did I put my entry here? You understand? The reason why I didn't put my entry here is because I don't have the confirmation to buy. But why I have my entry here is because I can see that this particular candlestick is bigger than this one. You understand? So what that tells me is that the buyers are currently in the market. You understand? And then from there, I can see a potential push to the upside. So if we now say, okay, good, fine, we've reached 95 pips, and then we are targeting 196 pips, right? That brings us back to what we have there, which is risk to reward ratio.
Okay.
So that gives us 2.06. So that tells me that if I'm risking one risk, then I should be targeting to make 2.06. If it hits my take profit, whatever I'm risking will be double.
Sorry, I want to understand this particular place.
So now we come into the market, right? Then we click on buy.
Okay.
Put our stop loss somewhere. Now
my strategy tells me I should only focus on 1:2, which to 1. Now I have
1:3.
You understand? You can go as far as 1:3, 1:4, 1:5, depending on
risk.
What
So which is the risk? The risk is 1. The reward is 2. So it means if you're risking 10, you're making 20.
If you're risking 100, you're making.
So it means you cannot even make more than that.
You can. That is when you don't set your take profit. You understand? When you keep your take profit open, that means you did not
end the trade.
You did not end that trade at this particular price. You understand?
Okay.
If you've set your take profit there and you set your stop loss here, you will see that the immediate price starting there to close. You see?
Okay.
What do you now say there? Risk/reward 1.1, which is 1, right? That means I'm risking 1 to make 1. Now if I increase
what does
it
it mean? You're risking 1 to make 1?
that means I'm risking 10 to make 20. No, I'm risking 10 to make 10. I'm risking 20 to make 20. Yes. So it was let's say 1:1. So we have 1:1. You understand? That means whatever I'm risking, I'll be getting the same thing if price hits my take profit. You understand?
So that's
One
business trade.
Yes, ratio 2. You understand?
You're risking 10.
Then whatever I'm risking, I have to make double. You see that?
So your balance will be what after the trade?
So that depends on what is currently in your account. But what we close at is $20. If the broker does not take their share out of it.
Let's say now I funded my account with $50. In this 1:1, what will I get at the end of this trade?
So if you let's good question there, right? If you take a $50 account and then you are executing this trade, first thing first is you ask yourself, what is the lot size? You understand? What lot size are you entering? So let's say you enter this trade with a lot size of 0.0. You have $50, right? Let's say you enter with 0.01. Okay. Now, just pay attention. You enter this trade with 0.01, right? Now you tap on this particular thing. It shows you what? Good. 85 pips, right?
Yes.
That tells you that your risk now is
0.8. And
No.
the one
$8, which is like 8.5. You see that? Risk 8.5. You understand? Now, if you are to do 1:1, it means your reward at the same time will be what? Your reward, what you will get at the end of that trade, if price hits your take profit, is what? 8.5. You see that?
What will be the total balance?
So your total balance will now be 58.5 cents. Do you see that?
Okay.
So
58.5. You're risking 8.5.
So at first you're risking 8.5
to get 8.5 back.
to get 8.5 back, right? So now let's just say account balance.
Okay, I guess. So it means
You understand? 50. Where is that? $50, right?
Yeah.
So you enter the trade, lot size 0.01, risk is 8.5, reward is 8.5. Your balance, total balance, would be, you see that? Would be, you see that? So now, interesting thing is,
$5.
yes, $50.05.
So it means basically, although you risked it,
You won't lose it. You understand? Except you lose that trade. Now, this is in a case where you made a very good, a profitable trade. This is when you make a profitable trade, right? So if by adventure you price did not go your direction and price come to your stop loss, what will happen?
42.5 and 41.5. It's what you risk.
Yes. What you risk,
So your balance will be 41.5. You understand? So let's say you lost that money. Let's say now this trade
Let's say that
it went down.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose that money you risk, not all your balance. You're going to lose
The money you risk.
Well, basically, what it basically means is if at all, this risk Abi is 1:1, right? It definitely means your take profit is at this point, and your stop loss is at this point. That's what is binding.
Yes, exactly. So nothing else outside these two boxes.
So even if the trade goes whatever down,
as far as you have the stop loss,
yes,
you are good. So if in loss, right, that means you're going to have lot size of 0.01, right? Then we have risk is 8.5, right? Risk is 8.5. Then we have reward also, because we're targeting to make profit, right? 8.5, right? But in loss, we now eat loss, 8 SL. 8 SL of how many pips? Of 85 pips. This year, 85 pips. 85 pips. Loss recorded will now be minus what? Minus 8.5.
It's not 85 pips, so it's 800
and that's points. So you convert it to pence, remember? You convert it to pence.
Okay, so it's 85. It's not like it's 858 pips.
Yes.
I just multiply by this 85 pips.
Yes, 85. So you convert it back to pence. Yes, sir. So loss recorded will now be this, then your current balance will now be 40, probably 42 or 41.5 this year. So current balance will now be 41.5.
So is it audio in currency pair
That follows this?
that uses the same conversion to pence pips in
No.
the application?
Just basically go.
Okay.
Very good
Each
question.
of them have
So each of them have, some of them are absolutely accurate. Some of them are DVP USD, make it to DVP USD, you have the applicable number of pips, right? So if you take your measure to and you buy all the way from this point all to this point, right? Whatever I show here, that 100 is 100 pips, you understand? Whatever I show here, 26 pips, you understand? Straightforward. So you don't need to convert it to
so
points.
That means I was wrong. It's not the base trade. It's 1:1, and I was basically wrong.
So it's if you go long from here now, whatever I shows here, you see 27.2 pips, that's it, straightforward. That GBP USD, you can see, then you can have 104 pips, right? So simple. So if you're risking $27 here with a 0.1 loss, you make $104. But if you open with 0.01, you will make just $10. Why you be losing? You'll be risking $2.7.